let's get into a segment called Cam A or Cam B.
One choice, two options, and no takebacks. It's time for Cam A or Cam B.
I'm sorry to everybody on TikTok. You don't get these cool little transitions. You just have to watch me sitting here very quietly, sipping on coffee between segments. Oh well. So Cam A or Cam B. Every decision in filmmaking changes the final product. So what happens when you have two paths to choose from? This is Cam A or Cam B, where we break down two filmmaking industry choices and decide which one is the better move for you. Lights, camera, and let's debate. So today we're going to debate what is the smarter way to market an indie film. Is it to worry about having the best freaking movie trailer ever created, or to really focus in on having a strong film festival presence that builds word of mouth for your film? Let's go into the pros and cons of each, starting with a really good trailer. The pros are that you have an immediate impact, right? A great trailer cuts through all of the noise and it will live forever on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels, whatever. It has universal reach, so you can show it to anyone, anywhere, buyers, audiences, your skeptical uncle who still calls movies pictures. You control the narrative, you pick the tone, you pick the pacing, you pick the highlights. You're not at the mercy of a festival's slot or press coverage in order to get views. And it's really kind of the audience first format. If your trailer goes viral, then that is your platform, and you're not waiting for a gatekeeper to stamp your pass and give you access to an audience. There are cons to really focusing on a great trailer, though. It has to be good. And sometimes making good trailers is in itself just as much a science as it is an art, but there is an art piece to it. A bad trailer tanks momentum faster than a delayed release date because you're waiting for something like a film festival run. There's no mystery, there's no magic, there's no interest. The other con I would probably look at is that there's no institutional validation, right? Like, you are seeking public validation instead of institutional validation within Hollywood. Distributors often still want to see something like, a Sundance official selection laurel just to justify taking a bet on your independent film. And social media isn't what it used to be in that it is not always easy to get eyeballs. So great trailers don't necessarily mean anything if you don't already have a social media audience or a paid strategy to promote your trailer once you publish it. The right trailers will cut through the noise because algorithms, but the wrong ones won't. And it is a gamble if you're only going to pick one of these two things. So let's talk about the positives and negatives of focusing more on a festival run than a really, really world-class trailer. Pros are that you really get third-party credibility. That if you get into a good festival, it's basically like receiving a blue check mark, but from the film gods. You get press, you get buzz, you potentially get buyers. Festivals are designed, the really good ones, to be networking ecosystems. Critics see your films, programmers invite you to the next one, deals get inked in lobbies of film festivals. And they can really definitely within the industry boost your long-term success. Even if your film doesn't sell, a good festival run builds filmmaker reputation. You build relationships with those filmmakers. It makes your next film easier to get into that filmmaker or to that film festival. And it's a kind of, in a lot of ways, a necessary step for playing the long game if you feel like your next movie or the one after that, your next film or the one after that will be the one that really garners significant attention. You can start not on the first step, but the second step or the third step of the staircase up to your desired audience and level of success. But there are cons to it, right? It is expensive to go to a film festival. It is a slow process. You pay submission fees, you pay for travel, you spend months waiting, time doing applications, and there's no guaranteed payoff. I would love to brag that my first feature film was fantastic. It wasn't. But it still did get into 6 film festivals, and it did still win awards at those film festivals. But there just isn't a guaranteed payoff, because the film festivals that it got into are not the film festivals that buyers are going to or that significant audiences are going to. When you do the festival thing, you are at the mercy of gatekeepers, and rejections are not just more common than acceptances, but like 10x, 20x, 100x more common than acceptances. And that, a bunch of programmers in basements watching films now control your destiny. And you have to align with the lineup that year just as much as you have to align with being just a good film. And that means that there can be an audience mismatch. Even if you get into a really prestigious film festival, if you're a sleepy 10 a.m. screening on a Tuesday in Park City, I guess Boulder now, you may not get the momentum that you hoped for, even if you made it into Sundance, or if you made it into South by Southwest, or TIFF, or Cannes. There can be that mismatch. So to me, here's the reality check. In a TikTok-driven world, a great trailer with smart distribution might beat festivals for direct audience building and long-term monetization of your film, especially genre films, comedies, or micro-budget indies. If you handle your business right and you can get your film into even an ad-based video-on-demand platform like Tubi when you do your release, any audience that you build with a really great trailer, any following on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Blue Sky, whatever, will be audience you can then reach again to tell them that the film is available, and then you can make revenue from that. But it doesn't diminish the value of film festivals. Film festivals still matter for prestige, credibility, and distribution access. If your goal is to get repped or get reviewed or land a meeting with A24 or Neon, then you are going to want those laurels, and you're going to want to invest the time, money, and effort into getting a solid film festival run. So my take is, if you're only interested in... If your goal audience is the public, then spend your time, money, and effort on a trailer. If your goal is the industry, your goal audience is the industry because you know that your film will be one of the 10 best movies released this year, then focus your time, money, and efforts on a film festival.